You stare at the screen. The cursor blinks. It is a steady, rhythmic pulse that mocks the stillness of your hands. You know the task before you could alter the course of your year, yet you remain locked, unable to bridge the gap between intention and action. Your mind offers a familiar, soothing lie. Let us do it tomorrow. Tomorrow arrives, but the task remains untouched, growing heavier with every passing hour. Next week becomes next month, and eventually, the ambition simply withers. Why does this cycle hold such a tight grip? It is not a deficit of intelligence. It is not that you lack the talent to succeed. The struggle is purely with the discomfort of the work itself. Most people view that friction as a wall, a signal to retreat and find a path of less resistance. But what if that resistance is not a barrier? What if it is the only way forward? You are capable of more, but you are currently trapped by the way you process the weight of the effort. Ask yourself, what are you avoiding right now, and what is the cost of that hesitation? Consider the life of Benkei, a warrior monk in the 12th century whose name was synonymous with brute force. He moved through the world like a storm. His path was defined by a singular, relentless metric: conquest. If a rival stood in his way, he struck. If a fortress held its ground, he broke it. He believed that true strength was measured only by the number of victories he could claim. He did not seek wisdom, he sought submission. Every challenge he encountered was a nail for his hammer. Then, he crossed paths with Yoshitsune. The samurai did not carry the same jagged, outward intensity. He stood still. He breathed with a rhythm that felt entirely foreign to the monk. Benkei saw a target, but he also sensed a stillness that defied his understanding of power. He narrowed his eyes, tightened his grip on his weapon, and stepped forward to engage. The air in the clearing grew thin. Benkei prepared to crush this calm obstacle, just as he had crushed every other, unaware that his entire definition of victory was about to be shattered. Benkei lunged, his weight committed entirely to a strike that should have ended the fight. He felt the air move as he swung, but his weapon hit nothing but space. Yoshitsune moved with a grace that felt like a blur. A sudden, sharp strike to Benkei's wrist forced his fingers to open. The weapon clattered to the dirt. Before he could recalibrate, he felt the cold edge of a blade pressed firmly against his throat. He stood frozen, breath hitching in his chest, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. The intensity of his rage evaporated, replaced by the sheer clarity of his own failure. He had been beaten, not by force, but by a superior state of mind. He stared at Yoshitsune, waiting for the final blow that never came. Instead, the samurai lowered his blade and stepped back. Benkei did not reach for his weapon. He did not curse. He lowered his head, bent his knees, and touched his forehead to the earth. In that silence, the old monk died. The student was born. He recognized then that his pain was not a failure to be avenged, but the precise path he needed to follow. Benkei understood now that his previous life was merely the sediment at the bottom of a pond. He watched the lotus flower, an ancient symbol of clarity, and saw his own transformation reflected in its cycle. The plant does not bloom in the pristine air of a mountain peak. It begins deep in the murky, suffocating mud. It pushes through the darkness, anchoring its roots into the silt, feeding on the very decay that threatens to bury it. This is not a passive process. It is a constant, upward drive against the resistance of the water and the weight of the earth. Human potential functions in the exact same manner. When you find yourself stuck in a cycle of avoidance, you are not failing. You are simply in the mud. The struggle you feel is the necessary soil for your growth. Without the pressure of the environment, the flower would never find the strength to reach the surface. You must stop viewing your discomfort as a sign to retreat. Instead, treat it as the medium through which you build your foundation. The path to your goals is not a clear paved road. It is the deliberate act of rising through the thickest, darkest parts of your daily challenges, inch by inch, toward the light. The first pillar of the Lotus Method is nintai, the practice of endurance. It is the ability to sit with discomfort without seeking immediate relief. Imagine you are working on a project that demands your absolute focus. After 20 minutes, your mind begins to itch. You feel a sudden, sharp urge to check your phone, stand up, or find any distraction that promises a quick escape. Most people surrender to this impulse, labeling it as boredom or fatigue. Nintai demands that you do the opposite. You must stop, breathe, and simply observe the discomfort. Do not fight the feeling, and do not act upon it. Just sit there, let the urge to run away rise in your chest, and then watch it pass. By choosing to stay, you exert a form of internal pressure that forces your focus to sharpen. You are not suppressing the difficulty, You are inhabiting it. In that moment of stillness, you reclaim the territory your mind had previously ceded to habit. You are no longer a passenger to your impulses. You are the architect of your own attention, proving to yourself that the discomfort is not a wall, but merely a sensation that can be endured, managed, and eventually mastered. Once you have mastered the stillness of Nintai, you move to the second pillar, Shisei, the art of posture and intention. Your body is not a passive vessel for your thoughts. It is the primary controller of your mental state. If you slump over your desk, your brain registers defeat before you have even begun. To change your mindset, you must first change your physical architecture. Start by grounding your feet firmly against the floor. Uncoil your spine until your shoulders align over your hips. Open your chest. This is not about vanity or aesthetics. It is a tactical signal to your nervous system. When you hold yourself with deliberate, upright purpose, you override the primitive signals of hesitation. You stop waiting for a feeling of confidence to arrive, and instead embody the identity of a disciplined person through your physical bearing. Your mind follows the lead of your body. By fixing your gaze and setting your jaw, you create a cage for your focus. Every muscle you hold in a position of readiness reinforces your resolve. You do not need to feel ready to act. You only need to look the part of someone who is. When you stand with intent, you command your own internal environment, leaving no room for the doubt that once paralyzed your progress. The third pillar is Kanso, the power of reflection. This is the most critical stage, yet where most people fail. You have practiced endurance and corrected your posture, yet your goals still feel distant. This is the invisible phase. Your brain is working, your habits are shifting, but the external results are not yet manifest. This gap creates a dangerous vacuum where doubt thrives. If you do not track your progress, your mind will convince you that your efforts are wasted. Kanso is your audit. At the end of every day, you must stop and force your brain to confront the data of your own growth. Ask yourself, what specific obstacle did I face today? How did I handle it differently than I did a week ago? Where did my focus waver, and where did it hold? By recording these small victories, you provide your brain with the proof it desperately needs. You are not just working, you are collecting evidence of your own evolution. Without this reflection, your growth remains a theory. With it, you turn intangible effort into concrete reality. You must see the path you have carved behind you to justify the steps you are taking ahead. Stop moving blindly. Audit your struggle. Turn your daily actions into a ledger of progress, and watch the fog of uncertainty clear. The final stage is Kaka, the bloom. This is where consistent repetition triggers a total system upgrade. Your brain is not a static object. It is a dynamic landscape that reshapes itself based on your actions. This is neuroplasticity in motion. Every time you consciously choose the hard path, the difficult task, the uncomfortable conversation, the disciplined morning, you are physically strengthening the neural pathways associated with grit. At first, the choice requires immense friction, a conscious override of your impulses. But as you repeat these actions, the brain begins to automate the process. It builds a faster, more efficient highway for your resolve. The struggle that once drained your energy becomes your default state of operation. You are no longer fighting your own resistance. You are simply acting out of your new character. This is the physiological reality of the lotus. The mud of your daily struggles is not a trap. It is the nutrient-dense environment where your potential is forced to adapt. By choosing the hard path repeatedly, you rewire your identity to favor challenge over comfort. You stop relying on the fleeting spark of motivation and start operating from a foundation of permanent, hard-won capability. You have moved from trying to be disciplined to being a person who cannot act any other way. Greatness is not a gift you receive. It is a choice you make. It is not hidden in the absence of obstacles, but forged in the middle of them. Every time you stand at the edge of a difficult decision, you are standing at the threshold of your own evolution. The lotus does not wait for the water to clear before it rises. It pushes through the muck because it has no other option. You have that same capacity. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions or the sudden arrival of motivation. Motivation is a weather pattern, but your choice is the bedrock. When you decide to act despite the resistance, you shatter the old limitations that once defined your reach. You are no longer the person who avoids the friction. You are the person who uses it. This is the moment of impact. The gap between who you are and who you could be is bridged by a single, repeated decision. Choose the hard path. Not once, but again and again. Until the struggle becomes the source of your strength. Your potential is not a theory to be debated. It is a reality to be built. Take the weight of your own life and push it forward. The transformation is waiting for your next move. Now, the theory ends and the work begins. You stand at the threshold of your own change. Think of one difficult thing you have been avoiding: a project, a conversation, a habit that demands your focus. That task is your mud. It is the exact location where your growth is waiting to happen. Do not look for a grand transformation overnight. Look for the next 10 minutes. Commit to the struggle. Sit with the initial resistance until it loses its grip on your pulse. By choosing to face this one thing today, you validate every principle you have learned. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are changing your relationship to the world. Stand tall, breathe into the discomfort, and move. The lotus does not bloom by wishing for the sun. It blooms by rising through the dark. You are the architect of your own character. Start small, stay consistent, and watch the sequence of your choices unfold. Your potential is not a distant goal. It is the path you are walking right now. Take the first step. The bloom is inevitable if you refuse to turn back. Choose the hard path today. Begin now.